Your car wash's tagline means nothing to your customers. And I know that's a hard thing to hear. You spent time on it, maybe you paid someone for it. It's on your sign, your website, probably your business cards, and it means absolutely nothing to the person deciding whether to pull into your wash or not. Here's what's actually happening. Your tagline was written for you. It captures what you're proud of, what you want your business to stand for, and that's the problem because your customer isn't thinking about your business at all. They're thinking about their dirty car, and your tagline isn't speaking to that. Worse than meaning nothing, a bad tagline can actually cost you money because you put it on signage, you put it on your marketing materials, on your menu board, and every time a customer reads it and feels nothing, that's a moment you could have said something that made them act. That real estate isn't free. You're paying for it with every customer who drives past without stopping. I'm Josh Taylor, CMO at OptSpot, and we work alongside car wash operators across North America. And today, I want to get into the words that you use at your wash, the actual words on your property, what they're doing to your customers, why most of them aren't working, and what to replace them with. Welcome to the Car Wash Growth Playbook. So when I do site visits with operators, I look at everything: equipment, team, menu board, signage around the lot. And one thing I see constantly at washes that are otherwise doing a lot of things well is a tagline that was clearly written for the operator, not for the customer. It usually says something about quality or care or the best experience. And it isn't wrong, it isn't offensive, it just has nothing to say to the person pulling into the lot for the first time, wondering, is this wash worth stopping for? That is the most common tagline problem in the industry. Not that operators have bad taglines, it's that they have taglines built around what they are proud of instead of what the customer needs to hear. And there's a big difference between those two things. You can have the best wash in town and still lose customers to a worse wash down the street because their message speaks to the customer and yours speaks to yourself. That is a painful reality, but once you see it, you can fix it. So let me show you what I mean. I'm not going to name specific washes, but I promise you've seen every one of these. Quality you can trust, the best wash experience, where clean meets value. Every one of those is written by someone who was thinking about their business, not their customer. They're saying, we are quality, we are the best, we have value. That's the operator talking, and the customer doesn't care about any of that, not because they're ungrateful, but because none of it tells them what they actually get. Say one of those taglines out loud. Could you imagine texting your friend, hey, you should go try this car wash. They really deliver quality you can trust. Nobody talks like that. Nobody thinks like that. So why is that your tagline? Here's another one. Wash, shine, repeat. It's short, it sounds clean, but it's describing your process to someone who doesn't care about your process. They care about their outcome. Wash, shine, repeat is you narrating what happens inside the tunnel. Your customer's thinking about what they're going to drive away with, and that's a mismatch. Here's one more. Welcome to the family. Now, I love the heart behind this one. Making people feel like they belong is one of the most powerful things a local business can do, but this is the operator saying what they want the relationship to be before the customer has experienced anything. A first-time visitor hasn't earned that feeling yet, and you haven't earned the right to say it yet. You earn that language visit by visit. So if you need it, put it on your exit sign, put it in your follow-up message. Don't put it at the entrance where it lands as empty words from a stranger. The pattern is the same every time. The operator wrote the tagline they wanted to have. The customer reads it and feels nothing. And every day that goes by without fixing it, you're spending more money on signage and marketing that isn't pulling its weight. My friend Donald Miller has a line I think about constantly. He says, if you confuse, you lose. And he's right. But I want to give you something more specific. 3 rules. Every tagline, every menu label, every headline on your property has to pass all 3 of these rules. So rule number 1, no nuance. If someone has to think about what you mean, you've already lost them. You get about 3 seconds on a road sign, less than that on a menu board while someone's sitting there waiting. Don't make them work. Rule number 2, repeatable. Not clever, repeatable. And there's a difference. Clever wins creative awards. Repeatable makes money. When someone can hear your message and pass it on to their neighbor in their own words, that's free advertising. That's what you're after. And rule number 3, written for the customer's world, not yours. This is the one most operators miss. Your tagline has to answer the question your customer is already asking, not the question you want them to ask. And that question is almost always some version of, is this place worth stopping for? Your answer has to speak directly to that, not to your equipment, not to your team, not to your values, to their car, their time, their decision. Here's what changes when you write from the customer's world instead of yours. Let's think about your top wash package. Most menus describe it with a name like Ultimate or Platinum, and then they list a bunch of features: ceramic coating, triple foam, rain repellent, wheel brightener. Those are all features, and features are not why someone upgrades. Someone upgrades because they want to feel like their car is actually taken care of. They want that moment when they pull out of the tunnel and the car looks sharp and they feel good about spending the money. So what if your top package didn't just list a bunch of features? What if it just said, leave looking like you just bought it? Now that's a picture, I can see that. I know exactly what that feeling is. I know whether I want it. You haven't listed a single feature and you've told me more about what I'm buying than the feature list ever could. Here's one for memberships. Most washes promoted something like unlimited washes starting at $29. And that's not great. It's clear, it has a price, but it's still transactional. I'm weighing a number against a benefit. What if instead your sign said, wash as often as you want and never drive a dirty car again? Now that second line changes everything. It's not transactional anymore. It's the elimination of a problem. People don't buy memberships. They buy the version of their life where their problem is gone. Never drive a dirty car again sells that. Starting at $29 sells a price point. Here's one more. Slow days. Operators spend real money trying to drive traffic on slow days. Discounts, half-price Mondays, 10% off Tuesdays. And those work, but over time, you're training your customer to wait for a deal. You've created a group of people who only show up when you're barely making margin. Here's an approach that costs you nothing. Instead of a discount, remove the barrier. A simple sign that says, no wait right now, in and out in under 3 minutes. That's not a discount, that's a reason. You're speaking directly to the one thing keeping someone from pulling in on a random Tuesday afternoon. They don't want to wait. They don't feel like dealing with it today. But if you tell them there's no line, that changes the calculation and it didn't cost you a dime. Here's where the cost of operator-first messaging really shows up. And it's not on your sign, it's in your customers' conversations. Think about how word of mouth actually works. Someone asks your customer, hey, where do you get your car washed? And your customer either has a crisp answer or they don't. They either say, there's this place on 5th Street, they're fast, my car always looks sharp, and it's totally worth it. Or they say, I don't know, it's someplace near the grocery store. The difference between those two answers is your messaging. When you write from the customer's world, they walk away with something they can actually say. They have a reason to pass it on. When you write from your world, quality, care, excellence, experience, they have nothing to work with. The tagline belongs to you, not them, and it dies in the parking lot. The content that travels, whether it's a tagline, a menu label, or a marketing message, is always the content that was written for the audience, not the author. So when a message is clear enough and useful enough that someone passes it on without being asked, that's how you know you got it right. So give your customers a clear, specific answer to why they chose your wash, written in their language, about their car, and they will hand that answer to everyone they know. So here's what I want you to do this week, and it will take you about 20 minutes of your time, and it might be one of the most valuable things that you do for your business this month. Walk your property like you've never been there before. Read every piece of messaging you have, your road sign, your menu board, your entrance signage, whatever's posted at the exit. Read it all like you're a first-time visitor. For every single piece, ask one question. If someone saw this and had never heard of my car wash, would they know exactly what they get and why it's worth stopping for? If yes, keep it. If no, you have a revenue leak right there. People are driving past it every day. Then fix it. Apply the 3 rules. No nuance, repeatable, and it answers the felt need. And if you're not sure what your customers actually value, go ask them. Spend a few minutes at your exit this week. In the vacuum bay, ask 3 people why they stopped in today. They will tell you in plain, honest, unfiltered language exactly what matters to them. And that language is your headline. Not the language that you invented in a conference room, the language your customers use when they're talking to each other. Use their words, not yours, every time. The messaging that gets shared, the kind that ends up in team meetings and text messages between operators and conversations at the car wash shows, is never the messaging that impressed the person who wrote it. It's always the messaging that was useful to the person who read it. That's the difference. That's the standard I want you to hold your messaging to. Not impressive to you, useful to your customers. Not what you're proud of, what they need to hear. Not written for the wall of your office, written for the person sitting in their car deciding whether to pull in or not. So stop writing taglines for yourself. Start writing them for the people whose money you want. If you want help building a marketing system where every message, every offer, and every follow-up is written for the customer from the first touch point to the 100th, visit OptSpot.com today and schedule a marketing clarity call with our team. And if this episode hit home, share it with another operator. And subscribe if you haven't. I'm creating new episodes every week. I'm Josh Taylor. This is the Car Wash Growth Playbook. I'll see you next week.